Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this video I'll be giving you some essential tips for FL Studio. So let's get right to it. Alright, so we're in FL Studio 20 here, and the first tip I'll be showing you is multi-channel waveform. So as you can see, there is two waveforms here. This is the left channel and this is the right channel. The top one's the left and the bottom one's the right. And as you can see, there's slight differences here, which is really useful to be able to see them visually, to be able to determine if either a certain sample or an audio track like this one has specific differences in the left and right channels that you can't necessarily hear. So yeah, the first thing you do to activate this is double left click on whatever sample or track, like that, and then it opens up this menu right here, and then you come down to the waveform at the bottom here, you right click, and then you click at the bottom here, multi-channel waveform view, and then that either activates it or deactivates it. So again, this is really useful to have, just to be able to see the differences visually, because sometimes you can't necessarily hear either due to your recording environment or your headphones or whatever. So I'll just go over it again real quick. Is you double left click, and then at the bottom here, this waveform, you right click, and then you either enable or disable multi-channel waveform view at the bottom here. So the second tip I'll be showing you is automation clips. Real simply, this is a very simple way of automating volume, panning. You can really automate anything, basically anything in this program. So, like for example, if you want to automate audio or volume to either fade out at one point in the track and then maybe fade back in, you can do that. So I'll be showing you how to do that. The easiest way to automate the master track volume, so that the whole track, all the audio of the whole track volume either goes down or up or whatever, is you open Mixer. There's other ways to do this, but this is the way that I do it. So you open your Mixer, and then you come here to the master volume, and you right click. You can really do this to any of the tracks if you want to. Then you right click on this thing on the track. I think you can actually, oh no, yeah, you have to do it right here. Oh no, you have to click on this slider. You right click and then create automation clip, and then that'll send a clip like this to your playlist, and then you can you can affect the volume by moving the slider up and down like this. So if I go like this, then the volume is going to be next to nothing. But if I turn it up, then it turns up. And if you want to turn up the volume so you can hear it, turn it down, I'll turn it back up. And so if you want to automate audio in the middle anywhere, then you just right click to add another one of these adjustable dots, and then you can add another one here to make the volume go down like that, and then you can extend it if you want to. And then this dot in the middle here, the smaller dot, you can use this to affect how the shape is, and that affects it in a different way. As you can see here, it's going down at an angle. You can turn it back up, and then you can make it curve differently, opposite way, and then create another one to fade the audio back in. So I hope you can hear this clearly. I don't know if I have my volume turned up enough, but I think so. So you can see, it went down here, now it went back up. And for automation clips, you can automate almost anything. Like if you open your channel rack here and you want to automate your panning here, create an automation clip for that. And then it works the same way. You can pan it to the left or the right by moving these dots up and down. And you can automate any of these mixer tracks, panning. You can automate volume here. You can even automate if you have certain plugins open. You can automate the volume in here if you want. You can automate the reverb. You can automate delay. In all the native FL Studio plugins, you can automate them just by right-clicking. But when it comes to third-party plugins like this Nexus, then you have to click this little arrow up the top left corner and then go down to Browse Parameters, and then in your browser on the side, it'll open up this menu here, the Nexus master under the generators thing. But yeah, if you click Browse Parameters, and it automatically opens that up for you. And then if you go and hit any of these controls, it'll highlight that control that you clicked, because it's really hard to understand which control you're automating if you're just looking at these words like del mod. I don't know what that means. So volume, attack, and that automates that. And then you can just right click and then create automation clip on any of these that you want to. And you can do this with all third-party plugins. And I believe the native FL Studio plugins, you literally don't have to browse parameters. You can just do it directly from in the plugin. Let me see if that's actually right. I'll open Fruity Reverb. What is going on? Replace. Fruity Reverb 2. There we go. Okay, so right click, create automation clip. Yeah, you can automate all of these. Create automation clip. So yeah, you can really automate basically anything that you want. It's I think FL Studio is probably one of the better DAWs for automating, because they have this really nice visual way of adjusting the automation. So the third tip I'll be showing you is how to create hi-hat rolls, and you can really do this with the bass drum, the kick, the snare, any of the drums, or really any sound that you want to. So what you do is you lay out your beat like this. Once you have your beat laid out, I'll turn it up for you so you can hear it better. So that's a pretty simple beat. And what I do if I want to make hi-hat rolls is if I want to make it this length, then I'll just place 3 or 5 beats or whatever, and then you right click on the hi-hat or whichever instrument you want to create a hi-hat roll or a roll for. You go to piano roll, and then you can, one way to do this is to click your horseshoe looking thing here, snap to grid settings, and you go to 1/3 step. Then you can either manually place them like this, and it'll create a roll like that, or you can go to 1/6 if you want. You can make it a tighter roll. That's often popular in trap music. What I usually like to do is when I create a roll, then I'll make the volume go from lower to higher. Here down at velocity, I'll create a shape kind of like that. Then kind of makes that kind of sound, and it sounds pretty cool. Or another way to do this is so what you do is you highlight your note, and then you drag it out to whatever length you want, and then you go to your snap to grid up in the top left corner here, and then you choose if you want it to be every half step chopped like this, but or every 3rd step. That's how I chop this one. As you can see, it's every 3rd step. Then once you have picked the setting that you want here, then you just hit, when you highlight this thing first, then you hit Control U, and that chops it up like that. Or Control Z to undo. Or if you want to make it a faster roll, then you hit 1/6 step, and then again you highlight your note, and then Control U, and then it chops it up even quicker. And then if you want to do every 1/4 step, then you can again highlight and hit Control U, and that's how you do that. You can even make it every half step. That makes it like that. So the 4th tip I'm going to show you is how to add swing to your beat. And the way to do that is at the top corner here. It's a little bit different in it looks a little bit different in FL Studio 12, but it's also in the top right corner of your channel rack. So right here is this little dial, as you can see. That's your swing amount, and if you turn that up all the way, this is going to be way over exaggerated, but I'll show you what it does. As you can see, it kind of adds that swing type feel to the beat, and I'll make it less. This probably sounds a little bit better in this case. So what this does is it adds swing to all of your instruments and synth plugins and everything. So you sort of have to be careful, because if you don't want your kick to have swing, then I'll show you again. If you don't want your kick to have swing, then what you got to do is you go double click on your kick, and then here you go to the wrench tool, and then swing in your time settings here. You got swing. You turn that down. I'll do that for both of my kicks. Turn that down, and then now the kick doesn't have swing, but every other instrument still does. And you sort of have to be a little bit careful with this, because if you turn up your swing, then all your instruments by default will have swing. So you have to go into each of the instruments manually, and then you turn down the swing setting here. So again, you go, when you open it up, you go to your wrench tool, and then you turn down the swing. And if you want to have different amounts of swing for each instrument, then you can also go to open this up, wrench tool, turn the swing to half, and then you'll have half the amount of swing on that instrument. So you can apply different amounts of swing to different instruments. Alright, so the fifth tip I'm going to show you is about saving CPU. So if your CPU load is pretty high, which you can see up in this corner right here where my mouse is, that's a meter that shows how much CPU is being taken up. So if you want to save your CPU, then you can go to whatever track you want, and then you go to consolidate this track, and then you can consolidate from track start, and then you just pick your settings, 16-bit, 24-bit, stereo, mono, and then start. And then this takes a bit of time. So as you can see now, instead of having the pre-programmed MIDI files and patterns, and then it just turns the whole track into one long audio file, which makes it a whole lot easier on your computer to handle, and it'll save CPU space. So you only want to do this once you've finished the whole entire track, and you don't want to edit anything else. So as you can see, it sounds exactly the same as it did before. If you decide that you want to edit something, then you can simply just delete, and on your track here it'll have this little arrow. You click the arrow, and then it'll bring up all your pre-programmed MIDI files. But once you have your audio clip created, then what you want to do is you'll want to erase all of these. Oh shoot! You want to erase all of these so that it doesn't play it and use up all the CPU space running all the plugins that it takes to play that. As you can see, before it was playing kind of choppy, and now it's playing a whole lot smoother because it's not using as much CPU. And you can do that to all of your tracks, just to make the whole entire project run smoother. And as you can tell now, it runs a whole lot smoother than it did before when I had just the MIDI files here. So if this video is helpful, make sure to smash that like button. If you want to keep getting videos to improve your producing skills, then make sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified the next time I drop a video. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.